Hey everybody, it's Sherry with Cards and More by Sherry, and today I am here to show you how I make these little mini albums that are made from standard letter-sized file folders. They're just made from a standard manila. I use the straight top tab on them. You can use whatever you want. If you use the individual where they have tabs, that's fine. I just happen to like the straight top ones. I'll just open one of these up real quick and show you. And this is just one file folder is all it took to make this. You have 3 pockets for tags. You end up with 2 top loading tags and 1 side loading tags. Then on this particular one, I've just added a couple of little tuck spots with some chipboard embellishments, and that's all I did to it. Very simple, very easy. You can use it as a journal, a photo album, you know, jazz it up yourself however you want. This is one I just made recently that I was asked about doing a tutorial on. I used a little bit different papers, but again, just one file folder is all this took. You have the 2 top loading tags and 1 side loading tag. This particular one I chose to use some Project Life cards as my tuck spots and as my pull-out tags. Put them here to make a pocket, here and here as a tuck spot. Again, very simple. You can add as much as you want or not. I found this flower I had made a long time ago in my stash and some bling, and just added that to the front, and I felt like that's all it needed. The paper was a little bit busy, so it just needed a little focal point. So let me show you how I make these. Get these 2 out of the way. Again, it's just a standard letter-sized file folder. These happen to be the Smeed straight cut tab file folders. I think I bought these at Staples or Office Depot or Walmart, wherever you can get them. And what you're going to do is simply cut it in half. Well, I take that back. You want to figure out what size your folder is and find an even measurement. With mine, I ended up cutting it at 5 5/8. Okay, so I went over and cut 5 5/8. Then, because I want to keep these sort of decorative curves, I flipped it and cut another 5 5/8 from the edge that has the curve, and that'll give you just a little. I mean, I literally had this much left after I cut it in half. So after you cut it in half, you end up with 2 pieces that look like this. Okay, see, here's the one curved side, and then here is the other one. So when these were together, this is how it was, and I just had that little bitty smidgen in the middle that I cut off. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do, rather than making any measurements, okay, it's much easier if you take the short edge, see that here, and you're going to fold it to your folded edge that is already there on your file folder. This would have been the bottom of your file folder. So you just fold that back like that, and then you're going to fold the long flap back around. Now, I wanted to show you a trick for getting a nice crisp edge. Again, here's the short edge that I have folded over. Alright, now to make sure I get a nice clean edge here on this long edge, if you just put this on your scoreboard and take your bone folder and follow right along that folded edge, okay, that's going to give you just enough of a score, see that you can easily fold that back around, and your folded edges are going to be nice and even. Okay, so we have now 2 pieces that look like this, kind of like M's. Alright, and these, where you have the long edges that were the top of your file folder, those are going to be your front and your back, like this. See how that opens up? Okay, now to glue these together, and I've taken one and already kind of marked it off. Let's say this is the piece that's going to be your cover. Alright, There's your fold, there's your fold. And here's the one that's going to be your back. And you can either put the curvy edges at the top or the curvy edges at the bottom. I tend to put the natural curves here at the bottom and then round these edges of my papers to match the top. However you want to do it. Okay? So, we have these two pieces like this. Basically what you're going to do is take these two M's. Here's the longer edges that are your front and back. You're going to glue together here. And this is going to make the side opening pocket. So you glue on the top and the bottom together. So that leaves this open right here for a tag to go in. Okay? Then where you have, again, here's the front. Where you have this first fold, you're going to glue this way and this way along the bottom and up one side. That will leave the top open. Alright, and you do the same back here. Here's the back cover. You're going to glue here and here to leave the top open. Alright, so when they're all glued together, ta-da! Here's what you have. Alright, see how the front and the back have the longer pieces. Then where the two sections have been glued together, I've taken my 1-inch circle punch and marked and punched out a tab or a pull spot, whatever you want to call that. And then the other two sections that are top opening, I've done the same thing. See how that works? Again, one file folder, just cut in half basically, folded and put together. So here's your cover, inside, here's your first set of pages with a top tab, your two inside sections that have been glued together with a center pull out tab out the side. The last folded part, your set of 2 pages and a top tab. So you have basically 6 surfaces or 6 pages plus your 2 inside covers for matting photos or whatever you're going to do. Okay? Now, what you do then, what I like to do, totally up to you, and depending on what colors you're going to take, I take, in this case I've got Distress Ink and tea dye, and I'm just going to go around and color all these edges so that I don't have that stark of the manila folder, that stark light color showing out. Now you can of course leave it that way if you want, depending what look you're going for. Alright, you don't have to do along the spine because we're going to cover that. And then what I do on the inside pages so that I get coverage where the pages meet, I just take my ink and I go right smack down the middle. You don't have to be neat about this. You don't have to be too terribly smooth with your ink about this. Because remember, you're going to matte paper on both of these and cover up this nasty ugly edge. And it's just basically just going to be a hint of color that masks the brightness of the file folder. And you can see that here. See in the edge? That's all the more that you're going to have show. Not hardly any. But I didn't want that stark, bright beige showing through. So that's why I did that along the edges. I think I used Vintage Photo or something on this one. But you can see how that just mutes that file folder color, if you want to call it that, and makes it kind of blend in with your papers a little bit better. Now you could also use, and I just now thought of this, ding 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 ding, you could use colored file folders. I just use the manila because they're so much cheaper, and then you can do whatever you want with them. Okay, so now through the magic of the movies, I have one here. Check out that color, you guys. Woo! That is Distress Ink in Seedless Preserves. And I've gone through and done all the messy, and you can see, you can perfectly see I've used the round blender. You see my circle shapes, but you know what? Once you get all the papers on there, it so is not going to show. And I have gone through and picked out papers that coordinate with that ink color because I wanted to use that ink color for some reason. I'm feeling purple today. What can I say? And I took this Recollections paper pack called Habitat. I got this when it was on, if you guys are ever at Michael's sometimes and they have these hot buys, I got this whole paper pack I think for $5. Yeah, watch for those hot buys. So I went through and picked out some papers. And I chose this one that has some, you can see those glossy accents for my inside covers and outside covers. And then I just picked some coordinating papers, and I've already attached those, most of them, on the inside. And see how that purple just peeks out in between there? Love that. Totally love that. Alright? Have the two top loading pockets and the one side loading pocket. Then I did want to show you, in case you're wondering about how to match up these funky little file folder edges. Okay, first of all, I rounded these top corners, and so therefore I rounded my paper as well. Then to match this up down here, what I do is just kind of lay this on here about where I'm gonna stick it down, flip it this way, take a pencil and make a mark so that you see kind of where that edge is, and then just cut it with your scissors. And I never do a really good job, gotta be honest, kind of ugly, but by the time you get it all put together and have some embellishments on the front, that's the last place a person's gonna look. Okay, and then on the inside pages, the way that I get my tabs to match up more or less is, again, lay it out where I think that my paper is going to get glued down, take a pencil, mark the edges of where my circle is that I've already punched, and then go in with my circle punch, and you see how I've already marked it kind of where the halfway point is, so I know how far to put that in. Match up my little punches. Now, because this is going to be offset down a little bit, I don't know if you can see how, let me put this up here a little bit more. It doesn't really match the shape real well along these edges. So what I do is I put that right back in my puncher. See if I can get this where you can see it. And go a little bit to one side, a little bit to the other side, and just shave off a little bit more. Check it and see how I like it. I'm pretty happy with that. This side could maybe be shaved just a smidgen more, so I'll put that back in my puncher. Punch off just a little bit more. There, I'm happy with that. That it does a good job of mimicking what I originally punched, and yet it gives you that margin to show that purple underneath. Okay, now you can adhere these papers however you like. I have used score tape, sukwang, whatever you want to call it, double-sided tape. I've used liquid adhesive, quick dry scotch, one of my favorites, and that's what I'm using today. I've used zip dry. I know a lot of people don't like this. I do. Right now I'm having trouble getting it to come out of my bottle. I don't know why. You can use Tombow Mono Multi adhesive. Great. Another great white glue. You can even use Mod Podge. You can use matte medium. Whatever you're comfortable with using, by all means, use that. I'm just going to slap some white glue, some Scotch-Brite Quick adhesive on here, because that's what I've been using today. My only problem with... Ooh, and this was flowing beautifully before I started taping, don't you know? I always keep a straight pin in the end of this to keep it open, but sometimes, there we go. Sometimes I have to go back and basically tell the bottle that I mean business. I really do want the glue to come out this time. Just a little bit, and then squish a little around. Not a whole lot, because you don't want it to go squishing out. Layer down there. The thing I like about using liquid glue is you have a little bit of open time that you can move your papers around. If you're a little crooked or too close to one edge, or whatever. You've got a little bit of open work time, okay? So there's that last page down. Right? And the mushroom's cute. Oh, this was such cute paper. A little bit of butterflies, a little floral, little fungus, if you will. And some pretty flowers, okay? I've already attached the back cover. I won't show you how I attach the front cover. That's pretty easy. I do want to show you how I do the closures on mine. You can do any kind of closure. You can do a, you can do an elastic on it. You can just tie ribbon around it. You can do some sort of button and loop closure. I've never been really good at those, so I'm not going to show you that because it would fail. It would be an epic fail. What I am good at is ribbons. What I do is take ribbon on the inside covers before I put my pretty papers on the inside, and I attach some ribbon. Then I attach my papers, and that's how I close my album. Super simple, easy peasy. So all I would do, I decided to pick green instead of purple, just to break up some of the purple and to accent some of this green on the front. Alright, so what I would do is take this ribbon, lay it down about in the middle. Then I'm going to take my ATG gun. And you guys, I just eyeball this. If you're really worried about if it's really down the middle, measure it, make yourself happy. I don't care. I'm not that worried about it. Then I just lay my ribbon down as straight as I can across there. I'm going to do the same on the back. I'm going to finish this first though. Then I'm going to use score tape here. And I usually like to put a couple extra pieces right along here where this is going to get the most use, as it would be open and shut and tied. Then I'll attach the rest of my score tape pieces here. And we'll just do that really quick if I can find the ends here. Again, use whatever adhesive you're comfortable with. And yes, I know this tears, but I like to cut it because I'm weird like that. What can I say? Try to get it as close to the edges as I can. And it is kind of weird because you have the rounded corners and the weird file folder edge things. Now you could make your album be smaller and cut this whole weird edgy thing off. That'd make your album about ½ an inch smaller. Totally up to you. I just leave it there and try to cut an edge that mimics that to make it kind of pretty. And I'm gonna throw an extra piece across the middle here just for good measure. If you've never used score tape, it's lovely stuff. Comes in all different widths. I'm also going to put a piece right here. Catch that corner. Alright, just peel off your backers. And this is why I didn't do this on the whole album or have to show you me gluing everything down. I know you all are smart enough to figure that out on your own, and watching me glue a bunch of stuff down is like watching paint dry. So I opted not to subject you to that. Alright? Now, it's not liquid glue, so I gotta make sure it's where I want it to be. And I hope my head's not in the camera. We'll see. There we go. Okay? And just make sure you can even take your bone folder, a brayer, whatever, just to make sure you got really good contact between paper, adhesive, and file folder. So that's how I do the inside covers and how I add a tie. Easy peasy, huh? Keep my other piece of ribbon here so I don't lose it. So just to, I'll just show you this one again that I did. Oh, I forgot to tell you. The spine, you want a piece, in my instance, depending again how you cut yours, my spine piece is 5 3/4 inches by 1 1/4. I've scored it on the long edge in 1/2 inch on both sides, if that makes sense. Okay, 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, leaves that 1/4 inch gap. Okay, then you just fold, obviously, on your score lines. And this is going to make the spine of your book, like I've done here with the pink. Okay, now the one tip that I will tell you, when you, and I didn't take my own advice when I did this one, I glued it in too far. When you put this on, okay, don't butt it up completely tight to the spine. You want to back it up just a smidgen so that when this opens, it has plenty of room to open with your spine. I hope that makes sense. And don't, when you glue this, do not put any glue in the channel. Just glue the 2 flanges to the front and the back of the book. Okay, in other words, this one only had glue on the flip side of this and the flip side of this. There's no glue inside here because I want to make sure that it can open up. I did a lot better job on this one, to be honest with you. This one's a little funky. But again, you can put as many pockets. I just took some plain old tags here and inked them the same color that I inked the file folder. These are Project Life cards. These are Project Life cards that I cut down to fit, and you will have to fudge around and figure out what size tags to put in, because it depends on if you've used a liquid glue or a tape. Is going to affect how much room you have inside each of these pages. So you'll just want to fudge around with it and figure out what size that you need for your pullouts. Me, I just took, like I said, these are Project Life cards, and I just cut them down and rounded the edges for them to fit. This is a Project Life card that I just left open and put a tag in. Very, very simple. Opted not to put anything here, but you've got to pull out here. Again, this is a Project Life card. Super duper simple. Just stapled some ribbon. That's my pull. You could put, you could punch out a scallop circle and put over that to reinforce that where that's going to be pulled in and out. Completely up to you. Here's another little pocket I made. Very simple. I mean, this one is even more simple. I just have my pull-out tags that I made just from some craft cardstock. Okay, and see, this one actually needs to be worked a little bit on. And just a couple of tuck spots. Totally simple. You can jazz these up as much or as little as you want. But it's a fun little way to make a little mini album quickly with just a single file folder. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will make sure to respond to you if you leave me a question or a comment. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a beautiful crafty day. I hope you'll like and subscribe to my channel, and be sure to come back again. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.